In France, the final two candidates in the presidential elections are holding May Day rallies in Paris. In their last week of campaigning, Emmanuel Macron's lead has slipped some 6 points to the benefit of his far-right rival, Marine Le Pen. Both candidates targeting floating voters before the final round on the 7th of May. Well, let's turn to our Europe correspondent, Mark Stone, who's at Marine Le Pen's final major campaign rally, and Rebecca Williams, who's at the Place de la République, ahead of a gathering of trades unionists, annual gathering of trades unionists there, both events in Paris, as you see. Mark, in terms of the messaging from Marine Le Pen, I know it's a very noisy backdrop for you there. How she changed her message in these final few days?
Well, great question. I just had a little chat with her campaign manager and put that to him. Because certainly portions of the French media have been suggesting that over the weekend she's performed somewhat of a U-turn. She's certainly talking a little bit less about Brexit and about ditching the single currency, the euro. I think deep down she still is absolutely committed to a Brexit and absolutely committed to ditching the euro, but she's talking less about it because she's trying to lure voters who might have concerns about those particular policies. And indeed, Emmanuel Macron's doing just the same in the opposite direction. He has been talking quite a bit about the fact that the European Union, something that he is utterly committed to, needs significant reform, something you might not have heard him say just a few weeks ago. So they're both tacking one way and the other to try and lure those final few voters in the final few days. Marine Le Pen, as you can probably hear, is in fiery form, as always. It's a similar speech to the ones that we've been at over the course of the campaign. We're in just the northeast of Paris now. She's talking to, well, some said about 25,000 people here. I don't think it's anything like that, but there are certainly a lot here. Her committed, her faithful. And one of the lines she's been going on time and again is perhaps Emmanuel Macron's Achilles heel, this idea that he is simply François Hollande, the incumbent socialist president, in another guise. She talked, in fact, she referred to him as Emmanuel Hollande to the roars from the crowd here. She said, Monsieur Hollande is in Emmanuel Macron's ear every day, giving him advice. The president who failed the country, the president who left through the door but is trying to come back in through the window. This idea that he is simply a socialist represents the status quo, something Emmanuel Macron denies. But that's her attack line at the moment. If you want something different, if you want something that's anti-globalization, anti-establishment, France for France, not France for the world, then Marine Le Pen is your woman. Just 7 days to go. It's getting very, very interesting. But as you mentioned, the polls certainly showing, as though one of the key polls, which was very accurate in the first round, showing that Emmanuel Macron's lead is slipping somewhat. He's still well ahead, though, some 20 points ahead.
And Rebecca, where you are, this gathering of trades unionists, many of them will be traditionally from the far left. Their candidate Mélenchon knocked out in the first round. Some people think that actually Marine Le Pen might be somebody they'll turn to rather than Macron.
Yes, that's certainly a possibility, and across France and Paris today there have been marches, thousands of people behind me, as you say, trade unionists here and left-wing groups campaigning and fighting against Marine Le Pen and her group. But of course earlier on today there was also a march for the Front National. Marine Le Pen's father was speaking there, very controversial figure, often accused of making racist and xenophobic comments, and Marine Le Pen has really tried to distance herself from him in recent years. She even expelled him from the party in 2015 over comments he made. But we did attend that rally. Here's what a few people had to say to us about why they went.
She's doing a good job, so maybe even if she will succeed in gathering the voters of Mélenchon who's from the far left.
All the main countries, China, Russia, India, they control their border. You want to get the visa for India, it takes weeks. They control everything. So I think it's normal to control your border. That's it. It's not extreme for me.
It's a little bit like in English, in England. If they stay in the European Union, it will be the death for their country. And it's exactly the same for France.
Now, thousands of people are marching across Paris today. Here, just a few of them. There is a very, very strong police presence. In fact, 9,000 officers and soldiers on the streets of Paris today. They are saying their main concern are lone attacks, things that we've seen the last couple of weeks, where a French police officer was shot in a terrorist incident on the Champs-Élysées. 2 other officers seriously injured. So they are out in force today. But of course, with the second round of the presidential election in just 5 days' time, things are really heating up here, and this is a nation divided.
Rebecca, thanks very much indeed. We'll have more on the French presidential election a little later this hour.